Chair recognizes myself for 5 minutes for the purpose of asking questions. Chairman Mendelson, the D.C. Council overrode the mayor's veto of the revised Criminal Code Act on January 17th. Is that correct? Yes. And
That's correct.
House Joint Resolution 26 passed the House of Representatives on February 9th, correct? Yes.
I assume that's the correct date.
President Biden announced on March 2nd that he did not intend to veto this measure. Is that correct?
That's my recollection.
Now, you informed the U.S. Senate on March 6th that you were pulling the legislation from consideration. Is that correct?
Correct.
You were trying to stop the Senate from considering the revised Criminal Code Act, correct?
Yes.
So did you attempt to withdraw the revised Criminal Code Act to help cover for House Democrats after it became clear the resolution of disapproval would pass the Senate and be signed by the President?
I didn't do it to cover. I did it, I mean, this is, I think, typical in any legislature. When you see that you're losing, you pull the bill back. You pull the amendment back so that you can work on it further.
I wonder, Chairman Mendelson, did any federal elected official or staff of any federally elected official request that you or anyone in the council attempt to withdraw the revised Criminal Code Act from congressional review?
No. Any conversations I had were with my staff.
So no one from the Biden administration asked you to withdraw the bill?
Correct. Nobody has.
No congressional Democrat asked you to withdraw the bill?
That's correct.
Did any government officials ask you to withdraw the bill?
No.
Chairman Mendelson, no provisions exist in the Home Rule Act that allow for a withdrawal action, and I have serious concerns about your attempt to circumvent proper congressional action without any statutory support or precedent. Furthermore, I'm seriously concerned that your actions may have been an attempt to provide cover for congressional Democrats by withdrawing the RCCA only after it was clear it would pass the Senate and be signed by the President. So let's move on to actual impacts of the RCCA.
Well, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Again, I did not do this as cover to anybody, and the Home Rule Act does not prohibit what I did. It's silent, and my reading is that I'm required to transmit legislation so that the Congress can look at it. It can't become law until Congress looks at it.
So
I withdrew it so that it can't become law. It can't become law. I will have to retransmit it. That's what I said in my withdrawal letter.
So you just had a change of heart after the House voted on it?
As I said, not a change of heart, sir, but that, you know, when you see yourself losing because it was clear that the Senate, the votes weren't there, then you pull it back and you work on it some more. I felt that that was a much better option than to just simply pretend that we want the vote and we're going to lose the vote.
Okay. Mr. Pemberton, do you think the proposed reductions in penalties for carjackings and violent crimes have emboldened criminals in Washington, D.C.?
Absolutely, and not only that, even just the rhetoric around the RCCA, I think, has caused criminals to realize that the city has become even more soft on crime than they were, even though the RCCA is not in effect.
Mr. Pemberton, do the 330 million Americans who want to come to their nation's capital have a right to not be mugged?
I would agree with that, sir. This is the nation's capital. It's Washington, D.C., but this is everyone's city.
So instead of reducing the penalties for violent crimes at a time when violent crime is a problem in the District of Columbia, what should the D.C. Council do instead to reduce crime in our nation's capital? And that'll be my last question.
Well, the first thing they need to do is deal with police staffing. We can't manage the city and the demands for the city. We know how many 911 calls there are. We know how many reports there are. We know how many cases we have to investigate. We do not have the proper number of police to do that. And just to address some of the other comments that have come up about D.C. having the most police per capita, what that doesn't consider is that the population of the city doubles during the day. There's another 500,000 or 600,000 people that drive into this city because they work here. We don't have county police. We don't have state police. We don't have other jurisdictions that assist us. And so that per capita number is a bit of a trope, if you ask me. But the short answer to your question, sir, is that we need to have the right number of police, and we need to have the backing of our elected officials so we can go out and properly do our job and try to get the criminal justice system to cooperate so we can hold criminals accountable.
Well, thank you, and please relay the message that we appreciate the support and the service that the women and men of the police force provide our nation's capital, and hopefully we can get legislation that will make their jobs easier and not more difficult.
They will appreciate that. Thank you, sir.